And as we begin here, welcome. My name is Phil Anthony. I am with ICC. I'm a digital codes specialist here with the council, and I take care of answering questions, doing demos with the digital code products that we have. This event on Wednesday, December 14th, was actually scheduled as a webinar for just the demo of the Digital Codes Premium. I guess let me go quickly to my other screen here. This is our main website, and I'll give a quick review of the Digital Codes Premium platform. But just so you know, since we changed this event to focus on the Revit add-in, if you're looking to register for another webinar, you see I pulled down on the left-hand menu. Here is a list of the webinars. If you scroll down, these will be future ones that you can register for. And then if you scroll down a little bit further, if you were looking for one of our just overview of the Digital Codes Premium, go ahead and choose. These are all the pretty much similar content with the same topics, just you can review the last November one. So what we will do here is, like I mentioned, focused on the Revit add-in, and I'll just do a quick overview. This will be just before 4 minutes or so. Eric will then take over and kind of give you a demo of the add-in and some of the applications and how you can use it. So I'll turn it over to him in a minute. But just to give you a quick overview on what Digital Codes Premium is, if you are not familiar with it yet, and this is the first time you're hearing about it being used with Revit, basically what we have is ICC has produced the digital codes and the platform that all these features are here that I'm displaying here is called the Digital Codes Premium. So as you log in with an existing license, you will be able to view the content along with the ability to create notes, easily search, highlight, annotate, collaborate with others in your department or organization with those notes and the bookmarks, along with the ability to be able to copy, paste, and print, and all the different features that we have, which will also be in the Revit add-in. So there are different types of subscriptions that you can have for the licenses. Once again, as I say, Digital Codes Premium, or sometimes we say DCP. That refers to the software that offers these extra features and benefits. On Digital Codes Premium, you could get individual single titles, which, for example, would be the International Building Code, or you could get a collection, which, using that same example, would be the I codes, which would contain the International Building Code. And then the final license that we have is the Digital Codes Premium Complete, which currently has about 1,400 titles. We continue to add more content to that every time we have that available to add to that subscription. So that would be the most complete that you would be able to have, which also includes many of a lot of content from the SDOs that you see listed here. And you can always use our free trial, which is 14 days free trial, which is to the complete, which will allow you to view the content, be able to use some of the features like the note taking and the copy and paste and the other things that we will go over here today. But we do offer discounts on quantities. So if you're looking to, get a group or an organization onboarded with this, you do have the ability to share access among users, but the more licenses you have within that shared group, the more people can be on simultaneously. And then if you're in an organization that has the need for dedicated seats, we do offer a enterprise platform, which has a few more administrative features, makes it easier to administer it, and the ability to add users, but who would need to have dedicated access, always on, always available to the content. All right, I will turn off my video here, and I'm going to slide control of. All right, got it. All right, over to Eric. I think you are on, Eric. Go ahead. I will continue to talk until you bring up some slides, so we know we made a smooth transition. And there you go. And I'll make one last announcement here. The microphones are turned off during this presentation, so Eric can get through the content that he has. We'll open it up at the end if we have time, to questions being asked verbally. But please post questions in the chat or to the panelists. I will monitor those. If it's something pertinent to what Eric's going over, I'll be bold and interrupt them right there, and if not, we will circle back to answer them around. So feel free to participate in the chat, chat box as well too. All right, I'm done, Eric. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Phil. So thanks everyone for coming today. Just a quick introduction of who I am. I'm Eric Stover. I'm a recent contractor signed up for ICC. I've been with them since the spring of 2022 to come on board and really help them start to ignite an experience around CAD and BIM, specifically around products like Revit, AutoCAD, and others. I've been I have like 30 years or more of building technology experience. 20 of those were with Autodesk. I was responsible for building AutoCAD out for between the years of 2000 to 2012. Definitely have a domain experience here in technology land. My goal here at ICC is really to help them synthesize a vision, articulate a roadmap, and then build it out. And so I'll show you a little bit of what we've done today, what you can get for a download. And then I've got some slides to kind of talk about where we go from here. And again, there's my link. If I'm happy to connect and share what I know. So please, if there are any questions after the event, please feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn. Anyway, so let me go through. So again, why this? Why now? So today, ICC's offers up a user experience where whether you're on a browser, on a PC or laptop, or on a mobile device, you can get access to the ICC digital library. Same login, same credentials, no matter what device that you're using. And so with what we've just released, you can do the same through an Autodesk Revit add-in. And so again, same experience, same access. You can log in all three mechanisms or mediums and get the same credentials, so access to the same materials in each. So, why Revit? So one of the things that I came on board to help with was that, if you're doing any sort of CAD work at all or design work using 3D tools like a Revit, there are plenty of applications out there that sit on top or adjacent to Revit to take that building information in and out of Revit and actually do really wonderful things with it, like do full-blown energy analysis, structural analysis, do costing information, profit analysis, lighting analysis, even construction schedules. And what we've observed is that there really isn't a really great connection with code compliance. There are a lot of other websites out there. There are people's blogs that have code calculators on it, but there really wasn't a strong connection with the world of like three-dimensional geometry, intelligent geometry out there. So that's kind of where I've come in with my team to help. So for those of you who don't know what Revit is or are being introduced to Revit for the first time, here's a sketch of what it looks like and a definition from Wikipedia that I'll steal. So Autodesk Revit is a building information modeling software tool for architects, landscape architects, structural engineers, and others. It was acquired by Autodesk in 2002, and it allows you to design a building and structure and its components all in 3D, and even taking it to 4D if appropriate. So what's different about Revit than a product like an AutoCAD is that when you draw a wall, door, or window in Revit, it knows what it is. It's a smart, intelligent object. And so when you have all that intelligence in your models, you can do wonderful things around it. Again, around energy analysis, pricing, and whatnot, versus like just knowing what a line, arc, and circle is in some basic geometry like you get in an AutoCAD. So that's a bit of kind of what Revit is. If you want to go ahead and download the app today, it's available. We released it a week or so ago. It's free of charge. You can get it on the ICC download page located here, or you can go to the Autodesk App Store located here. And when you go to the Autodesk App Store, just type in ICC and you'll see our app there, and you can go ahead and download it. So it takes about a minute to do. And once it's downloaded, you're up and running within Revit in about a minute or so. And those are two screenshots below, the ICC App Store and then the Autodesk App Store. So today, we currently support Revit 2021, 2022, and 2023. And the plan is that as Autodesk releases new versions of Revit, we are probably going to wait till the first service pack is released, which is roughly around 3 months after the release date. So summertime is when we'll actually support the next release of Revit. So stay tuned for that. All right. So now let's go over to Revit. Make sure all this works.
Hey, while you change the slide, we did get a question. Will it work with ACAD-LT?
ACAD LT. No, it does not. And so just for the future, again, that's one of the things we're thinking about is kind of adjacent applications to Revit, like an AutoCAD or an AutoCAD LT. So more on that to come. So let me see if I can do my sharing right. Hang on a second here. I take it you can't see Revit. Am I sharing Revit right now?
We're seeing demonstration slide on there.
Hang on one second. Let me show this. I'm pushing a lot. Let me turn my video off because I think I'm pushing a lot through my internet here. And let me just go to reshare Revit here. All right, how about now?
Yes, we are seeing your screen. Yes.
Great, thanks. I think my video was interfering here. So this is Revit. For those of you who've not seen Revit before, this is a basic design application installed by Autodesk. And what you see here, just kind of a quick overview of what Revit looks like. Here I have a sample structural file up and running. Across the top, I've got my ribbon, which has all my various options of how I design. I can design with architectural elements, structural, steel, precast. And again, I won't do a Revit demo except as it is. On my left-hand side is my project browser, which I can actually look at all the intelligent objects within my model or different views of those objects. So that's a bit of what Revit looks like. To find the ICC add-in, if you click on the add-ins tab, you'll see Digital Codes Premium here. So if I click on that, you should see this. And so Phil, let me know if you don't see this plugin. So once you launch the Digital Codes Premium app, you see our welcome screen here, and there are several options. I can sign in, I can subscribe, or I can start the trial. And so again, as I mentioned in the previous slide, again, this is just another interface to the world of the ICC digital library, not unlike the mobile or desktop device. So when I click on sign in, I'm already signed in, but if you haven't been signed in before, you'll get a screen where you put in your information. So when I first start up the app and I log in, I get to see my library. So let's take a look around the user experience here in this app. So again, it's a modal app. I can move it around, even move it to a secondary display if I've got one. The app itself is responsive, which means that as I move things around, if I want to change the size of the screen, I can still see all the menu options available to me. At the very top, like a standard browser would behave, I have a back, forward, and refresh button. The home button itself actually takes me back to the original screen that you saw when you started up. So let me go back to sign in. And there's an information dialog box which lets me, we show you where, our URL, our privacy policy, how to contact us if you need to. Okay. So across the top, so on the left-hand side, if I click on menu, this is really kind of the driving force where you would want to navigate most from within Revit, is that I've got the ability to browse all my collections. I've got a listing of my premium tools. And I'll go into each of these in a bit here. My favorites, premium features, webinars, access, and look, a Revit add-in link, and so on. And so across the top, I've got my search. So if I want to be able to search for any sort of text within any of my library, this is where I would do it. And then I have concurrent access. So if I click on that, I have the ability to, if I'm working with others in a group, I have the ability to actually share all of my my tags, my bookmarking, my notes, all together within the context of a project. So this is where I would set that up. Here is where my login information is. There's the store, and then there's a place for other solutions that ICC has to offer. Next below that is if I have a sync library. So if I've been purchasing books or titles, I can click on this and actually sync with my purchases if I need to. If I want to view the entire library that I've got license for, I can click on this. And if I scroll down, you can see that as a member of ICC, I've got access to 1,916 titles, so everything is there. So that's good to know. Also in here, as I scroll down, I can see on the right-hand side, there's a place for feedback. If you've got feedback or questions, there's a place to fill out a form and send it to us. And then there's also a live chat feature. So if you've got questions or comments about the product, this is a place for you to go ahead and submit those. Okay. So let's go back to the menu inside the add-in. So starting with the browse contents. So again, I have access to the entire ICC library base because I'm a DCP Digital Codes Premium subscriber. So I can see all the literature here. So if I click on the 2021 iCodes, for example, I can see all the titles that are currently available to me, which is great. And if I go down to things like collections, again, you can see all the various collections that are available, again, based upon your subscription entitlement. One thing I really like is the commentary. So if I click on this, for example, if I look at like the 2021 IBC commentary, what's really interesting about this is that within the literature itself, there are actual, I would say pro tips where you see this little symbol. This is where the commentary is been added, and again, this is a feature of DCP. So like I can actually turn off the commentary and actually see the manual as it is today. But if I want to see kind of these tips and tricks and things that would be good to know, I can turn those on at any time, and they're already highlighted by an asterisk, which is great because this actually takes the code and actually puts a little bit of more of a human spin on it, of like what you really should know or look out for gotchas and things like that. So that's really nice to have. So other areas, and again, I won't go through the entire list here because again, this is, I think something Phil's been posting before in other demonstrations, but other areas, I like are like things like locations, where you can go down to jurisdictional specific titles. So if I click on, California, I can see all the building codes for the state of California, which is, again, really nice to have. And you can do it by state here. So if I want to go to Hawaii, for example, anyway, you get the idea. Let's go back to the menu. And again, under my premium tool, so again, as a DCP subscriber, I've got access to all these collaboration tools within Revit. And so if you're not a subscriber, then these would be grayed out. And I can, if I've got time at the end, I'll show you an example of what that looks like in Revit. So that's part of what this service is about. And so let's see. So if I want to go to the top, let's go ahead and get into a search. If I wanted to start looking at, let's just look at the 2021 IBC. Actually, I want to go back. Let me go to the actual document, not the commentary. Click on this. What's nice is that while you're looking at literature, again, inside of this app, you can add things to your favorites or not. So that's kind of neat. So if you want to come back to this book or you're using this title a lot, there's a way to mark it. So you can always have it in your dashboard, which is good to know. So let's go ahead and do search. So in this case, for my structural example, I'm going to search for PowCap information within this title. And so what you can see here is I really love what the ICC has done here in the search world, is that it's called a faceted search, and it's a lot akin to what you might see in like an Amazon, for example, where you can type in search word, keywords, and then filter based upon tags on that content. So, what years do I want to look for? What states might have information around a POC? Again, it's really nice to be able to turn things on and off and hone my search down to what's relevant and to what I'm looking for. And then as I'm looking at my results, again, like any other search engine, you could see things, where my text is highlighted in the search results. Now, if I want to go and actually look at this information, I can expand and actually look at the search results at the top of the chapter, or I can go all the way down to where it's located. So, and here we are. So you can see it takes me right to my location. and I've got a bunch of notes already here, for example. But let me go ahead and just show you a bit of like what is capable inside of Revit. So as I'm looking at information in the code, if I actually want to copy and paste this into one of my Revit details, I think where it's most important, I'll just go ahead and let me select some information here. I can copy it, and so it's on my clipboard. And then once I'm back in Revit, I'm going to go actually to my PileCab detail here. And in order to put detailing text into a Revit drawing sheet, what you do is you go to the annotation tab in Revit, and I want to add a text object, and I'll do that. And I can go ahead and paste that text in there, not unlike what you could do with any other Microsoft or Autodesk application. And once it's in here, I can do things like, again, make it all caps. I can use all the various tools inside of Revit to make it a bulleted list, indent, and bold, whatever. So there's that. So again, it makes it real easy that as you're working with and you're detailing work inside of Revit, if you want to actually take code snippets from a title, you can do that. And I'll have to say, one of the questions that I'm sure will come up is that one of the things that we are working on is also being able to copy and paste tables and images from the books into Revit. So that'll be coming shortly. But for now, you can just, again, copy and paste text from any title right into your Revit model. Okay, so I think one of the things that kind of this basic and germane to the DCP model is that for each piece of code in the title, there's a number of great collaboration tools that you can utilize, again, in the context of when you're inside of Revit. One is, I can highlight and do notes. So if I click on a section that I'd like to take a note on, let's copy this and click on this. I say, okay, I can write a note. So I've captured some information, and I'll say, this is important info for project, I'll just say X, project Z. And you've got a whole host of tools here to actually, again, change the fonts, for example. We'll make a bulleted list, indent, et cetera, and so on and so forth. So I've created a note here, again, inside of the app. And if I wanted to, I can create a tag so that I can search for it later. So I'll just say, I'll do a soil-1 and create a tag and save all that. So now you can see below this text in the title, I've got a reference that I've just created. So in my notes, I've copied the text just because I'm interested in this. It's got a tag against it, and my particular notes that I can then share with other people. I can decide to delete it, or I can edit it moving forward. And if I ever want to come back to all the notes that I've been creating in my documentation, I can do that here. And so you can see that if I click on this, there's the note I just created. I've got other options in places I've also done notes before, and highlights and so on. So every time you're like documenting or marking up a title, you can get access to all those notes here on the left-hand side of the screen. All right, so other features here under DCP is, again, if I want to bookmark a section, let me scroll up a bit because I've been doing a lot of work in this particular title. Let's go to bell drilled shafts. If I want to bookmark this, again, I'll just type in a sample bookmark. And if I want to create, use an existing tag that I've created, or I can create a new one, I'll just put it under occupancy for fun. So again, now I've got another way that I can mark up the documentation. And again, I can share this with others as needed. But again, I can always go back to all this information under the main menu. So if I go here and look at my notes and bookmarks, you can see that the only manual that I've been marking up right now is the 2021 IBC. So if I click on that, you can see all the various locations where I've created a bookmark or made some notes. So this is really, really handy. And then I can share this with others as well. And again, as I mentioned on the concurrent access, so if you're signed up for that and sharing this with other people, then everybody else can see these notes as well. Okay, so let me go back to the menu here and also look at project tags. So again, as you can see here, this is a way to, again, just kind of tag information so you can search and compile it later. So this is a listing of all the tags I've created that I can reuse. And I've seen examples of people tagging based on a project or on a topic or a subject matter, for example. But again, you've got an endless amount of tagging you can do, and you can change the color if that's helpful, and so on. So again, that summary is all stored here under the menu. All right, let me go back to one of these iCodes. So back to the IBC. Just a couple other things I want to show off here. I'll just pick a section. So again, as I turn on my premium features for the text, let me go to a place where there is text. Again, I have a place, if I wanted to share this information directly, I can click on this button and put an email address here, and we'll send that person the actual code snippet via a link, if that's helpful. In this email, when you send it from within this context inside of Revit, it sends it from an ICC email address. So if you actually wanted to share it in your own email system, then you could copy the URL and then paste it into your Outlook or Gmail or whatever. Makes sense. I can also print out. So if I wanted to take this section and print it out to a PDF file or locally, I can do that there as well. Okay. So again, let me go back to menu here. So again, all these options that I've been demonstrating are highlights of the Digital Codes Premium experience. So let me get out of this. So what if you're not in DCP? What if you're trying the software out? So let me sign out. Okay. And this is not unlike what Phil showed you at the top of the hour. But so if I load up the app for the very first time and I go home, let me just run through this one more time. If I click on sign in, this is the screen I'll get. This is the screen you'll get. So you can type in your information here and sign in. So again, same credentials as before. So if you have a mobile account or a desktop account, again, it's the same user ID and login. If you are looking to subscribe to Premium Complete, this second button will take you there so you can actually fill out the information and place a subscription. Or if this is your first time here, you can click on the last button, which will give you access to the 14-day free trial. So you can sign up here and you can utilize all the collaboration features, which I've shown in the last 10 or 15 minutes or so. But let's say that you pass the 14-day trial. What happens next? So let me go ahead and sign in with another email address. Give me a second here. This is my test account. And I know that this account has expired in terms of DCP access. So again, if your trial is expired and you've not subscribed, what does your experience look like? So again, there are certain things that are disabled. So I've got access to the manuals. So I can still look at the iCodes, for example, and they're all still available. And if I click down on those, you can see that I can, again, like before, navigate all the chapters, read the information. But the one thing that's missing is that you, without DCP, you just don't get the collaboration features. So when I look at the text, you're not seeing the icons appear on the upper right as I'm hovering over each text item. Nor can you can't see me clicking down and I'm trying to copy, but I can't copy the text over to like, my detailing section in Revit, for example. So those are things that are disabled, but you can access the libraries and get the content. But that's where DCP comes in. So if you subscribe, you get those collaboration features that, again, I can't showcase here because I'm not licensed and I can't copy over into Revit at this point. And that'll be most likely true as we move forward. So when we start to build out Revit even more, the features in Revit, like copying and pasting tables, will only work under a subscription. They won't work as a part of this kind of basic view. That's currently the plan. Okay, so let me go back to sharing. Let me stop sharing this, and then let me share my PowerPoint one more time. Go. All right. So I guess just in summary of what this add-in does today is, again, it's just another avenue for you to access the ICC library. And again, all the licensed content that you've got today, or things that you'd like to purchase down the road. So just again, via the Revit experience, so inside of Revit, you have this full like access to all this information. Today, you can copy text directly into Revit. And you can tag code sections and share with colleagues, which I showed a bit of. And then again, you can unlock even more tools, again, based upon your subscription level. So a little bit, I didn't want to like walk away without kind of talking about where we're going next with this. And again, I have to provide the basic disclaimer of I can't promise dates and I can't promise what's free and what's for sale. But all that being said, as I'm working on the roadmap with the ICC organization, I wanted to kind of provide some insights of what we're thinking about. So starting with, a compliance assistant for Revit. Now, this is just a drawing. This is not live code that you're seeing here. But it really is kind of saying, looking at how we start to integrate more and more with all the intelligent geometry that is inside of your model in Revit. So things like, if you're working under certain titles or certain codes, we can provide you almost, I would say, a live list of common items to check based upon the data set. And these are things that you would be able to turn on and off, obviously, and they're optional. But again, just to more bring the code closer to the work that you're doing inside of Revit, the time that you're actually doing that work for a customer. Maybe even an alert system so that when the time has come when you want to check your model or models against a code, we can provide you with a system that showcases where, back here, like in red, possibly, like where the code violations might be. Now, we totally understand that this is not meant to be some draconian tool that locks you down and you can't move forward without making changes that are code compliant. And we know that there are jurisdictions that give you flexibility on things too. So the idea is that something that looks like this in an alert system or checking system would be very, very open to customization based upon kind of your relationship with your owner and your jurisdiction. So just wanted to call that out. And then also, are there requirements for taking some of the code snippets themselves in documentation and actually printing them out as a part of your drawing sets inside of Revit? Are just some of the basic things that we're currently thinking about and trying to kind of scope. Also, we're in the midst of doing some research. So we've sent a survey out last week to many of you around code calculators. And I thank you for those of you who have responded. That data is going to feed into our research and roadmap around this topic, but even more importantly, how it integrates within Revit. So that, again, I'll go to a visual here, that in each chapter, there are all kinds of places where a code calculator would be really, really helpful, or mathematical calculations that solve, or software wizards that actually help walk you through a table to get you to the right information that you need. But even more so, what you're seeing here is just a sketch and an example. But then imagine, if you will, that again, as you're drawing smart geometry in something like an Autodesk Revit, if we know what a wall is and we know what a door is, there's a ways to actually automate a lot of this calculation work for you, moving forward, and or filling out sheets of requirements like what you see on the right side. That's all being fed from a Revit model that's been, that's in some sort of conceptual or schematic design phase. So there's all kinds of really wonderful things we can do here with something like building code calculators that we are also, starting to get our heads down on. So again, lastly, thank you so much for those of you who responded to our survey on that topic. Another avenue here that kind of ties a lot of this up is just thinking about this compliance in terms of a whole project perspective. So, what if, you could look at your project inside of Revit, and I know that there's other applications that people utilize besides Revit in their work force. But imagine, if you will, that, we could look at the whole project itself and provide all kinds of documentation around what's passed or failed based upon any sort of codes that you want to comply with. And so you would get an output report based upon your model, and that would be a live link. So anytime you make changes in the model, this project summary on the right, part of my comic lines sketches here, would live update. So you could see things passing or failing in real time based upon the project. But that would require us to know a little bit about the project. So depending on your depth of Revit use, a lot of people don't put their project information inside of Revit necessarily. So we would probably have to host a couple of topics or features of your project on the ICC website so that we could actually be a lot smarter about where you are, what jurisdiction you're in, and again align on this. But again, I think this is a good place to go, that you can just do project by project summaries. And then also I mentioned that there was a question about AutoCAD LT. So the answer is yes. I can't say exactly what products we're going to support in the coming year, but it's something that is I've been pushing on in terms of our roadmap. So certainly, if I had to choose a list, like AutoCAD would be probably near the top, just because the amount of people who use it. But then there are other applications like MicroStation Inventor, Bricks CAD. There's all kinds of design applications out there that we could certainly integrate with. Because of the way we designed this app, it lets us plug into other applications rather easily. So more to come on that, and I'm very excited about that direction. And then second to last is that we're looking at also making a copy of this into like a viewing application. So what if you don't have a copy of Revit? But what if you had somebody in the office who actually needed to look at Revit models, or again, expanded, like AutoCAD drawings, whatever, that needed to do compliance checks on that? That's something we're getting serious about, is taking that experience and saying, okay, give me a viewer that looks at my model geometry and allows me to just do compliance viewing on top of that geometry. So something like for a manager or a code viewer, but you don't need a seat of Revit in order to view the geometry. So that's also on our list. And I think I mentioned this at the top of the call too, is that again, as Autodesk releases its releases, we'll be keeping an eye on that and waiting for a Service Pack 1, because that's when the product usually settles down, just from my experience working with Autodesk, is when we'll release the next app update that supports this new version. But again, I can't make any promises, but my goal would be to release an update to the app every quarter. So no promises, because I can't make promises on a recorded feed, but my feeling, I have a strong feeling that that's kind of where we are headed in terms of our roadmap here. So when you look at this list of work ahead, again, I really wanted to kind of show you today that we've set in motion this idea that you can now use, inside of the context of a Revit, all the great features of the ICC experience, and you can go further with a DCP subscription, obviously. And then at the very basic level, you can copy text and bring it over in detail into your details inside of Revit. But then that's step one. And as we keep moving forward, again, this is what you might start seeing from us down the road as we start to build out that Revit experience. So in terms of next steps, I'll leave this up on the screen. Again, the app today is free. You can go get it. You can install it. It works on 3 versions of Revit today. You can either choose the ICC download page, or you can go to the Autodesk App Store. You can go to the iccsafe.org site under support. If you search for Revit, we've got a help system there. You can actually get that inside of the app as well, too. And again, we will be alerting you to updated builds of the app. So ideally, one of the things we're going to put in the app is an update engine, so that it'll ping you when there's an update available. It's not there today, but that'll be coming soon. We'll update you via email or on the website when there's updates available. And then last but not least, if you have any feedback or even want to inform the roadmap, I am really open to bringing in customers who want to have a say on where this goes. So if that's you and you like Amazon gift cards, feel free to email us at designapps@iccsafe.org. Happy to bring you on board and kind of help you look at designs, provide feedback, because ultimately the stuff that we build is for you. And it really needs to work for you. And And again, definitely appreciate any sort of involvement you'd like to provide. So that's it for me. That's the demo for today. I appreciate it. And I'm happy to open it up for questions. Phil?
Yep, no, absolutely. And yeah, to just follow up on that last point, at ICC, we do look to develop these programs, these platforms to make it easier for, those that are creating and serving the public. So please, offer the feedback. This is something that we've heard that was wanted by the community, but, offer any details that would help us make it work exactly how it would be most useful for you. Yeah, lots of questions. I've been trying to answer ones that were specifically for digital codes, but let me read off a couple here. Just a quick one. Does it work with Revit LT?
That's a good question. I have to go back and see if Revit LT allows app development. I don't know, but I can
Okay.
find out. If we capture that person's email address, I can respond to them about that.
Yeah, we'll keep all that. And uh, okay, so as you're bringing in the texture table, to a schedule within Revit, what happens when the code is updated in the future by ICC or
Right.
revised?
So great question. So today there's no live link when you bring it in, but that is a great feature for the future. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
definitely. I totally understand that. I agree that that's a direction we will be going, but there's no live links as of yet. Again, back to my slide about the project view, that again, we have live links of the Revit models with project information on the ICC website. This is totally in that wheelhouse.
yeah. Yeah, no, there's a few questions I didn't want to answer without consulting you first, so you can put your view on it. But another one is the interaction between ICC and the Revit. Adding, does it actually do any checking for compliance, or still up to the designer?
It's still up to the designer. But again, that's one of the areas that we're headed down with our roadmap. But again, I'll just reiterate what I said before, we want to be really careful about that because I know I know we can be draconian and really lock the model down, but I also know that we have to be very flexible based upon each and everybody's own unique use cases with their jurisdictions. So coming soon, for
Yep.
sure.
No, thanks for addressing that. And then there was a lot of questions when you were showing about sharing the links. I have some of that information in my demos that I do, but just real quickly, that link that showed how to share it, what that does is just share that web address easily, in an easy manner. So if you were to send that to another user who has access to that same, code book, to Digital Codes Premium, it would open up in their account and they would be able to copy and paste and everything. If you're sending it to like a homeowner or a contractor, they will have that link open up in our free basic view. The iCodes are in a basic view, so you don't get all the features. But if you were to send it to a homeowner, they would be able to open up that link. It would take them directly to that code section, and they'd be able to scroll through the related code section, but they wouldn't be able to copy and paste. And no, you never see anyone else. The person receiving it will not see your notes. Notes are kept private. If you have an individual license, then you're the only one that sees those, unless if you specifically share that note within the note. If you're in a concurrent group, and this gets into, I won't go too far into, yes, you can share licenses in your organization. So if you have 5 licenses and 10 people are using it, only 5 could be in there simultaneously, but those notes are contained within that group. So if you're messaging or sending a link outside the group, no one else is seeing those notes unless if they're logged into your group section. All right. I will go through. You can print sections with their subsections. You can't print an entire book or chapter. When maybe I guess you can go over this too, Eric. But basically, people are asking if you need to be if you need to have a Digital Codes Premium license. So starting that off, yes, you do, because what you're accessing in the add-in is just whatever license you have. So that's where I was talking. If you only have an IBC license, then you can only access that. If you got the complete, then you're accessing more. I don't know if you want to comment any more on that, Eric.
No, that's spot on.
Da-da-dum. All right. What would be a good way of keeping that data current? Good question. Once you bring it in.
Well, just a suggestion, so that
Yeah.
once you bring it in, what I would do in the detail itself is write a little under the paste where I've copy and pasted the text. In that text, I would say, section something or something, or I put a note in there to self, or a tag, whatever the marker is. And then under the ICC site where you have your notes and bookmarks and tags, that's my reference. So I would be able to go back to a bookmark on the ICC page. And then from there, I can see if something's been updated. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's where I would see updates. Right, Phil?
Yeah, the digital codes site is updated as errata or any new versions are put out. But I understand what you're saying. If you're copying and paste something from one point in time, it's not going to automatically update there. So yes, you'll be able to see when the updates are added onto the digital codes website.
Right. So I would just put a bookmark. I would put some kind of marker in the text, like again, type in the word section, this or whatever your tag is, and then use that as a reference over the ICC page and reference that bookmark. So you can go to the bookmark and say, "Oh, has it been updated?" And you'll know. But I get that that's a struggle. So we'll be looking at that for sure.
And I think you did answer and show this. I'll just read these two questions together, but just how you cut and paste text from the codes to the Revit and kind of combine with that. Is there a difference between using the Revit add-in versus just accessing via the web browser when you're copying and pasting?
No, there's no there to full transparency. There's no difference. So again, we wanted to make whatever option that you decide to use, whether it's an in Revit experience or a browser window, you have the same experience for again how you're credentialed and licensed.
No. And people are asking about individual jurisdictions, states with amended codes, cities. The Digital Codes Premium platform does include that. As I mentioned, all the I-code, the model codes, are available in a basic view. So the link I sent to everyone on our homepage, you could go to locations and view those. If a state or city has contracted back with ICC to produce the amended code that they created, then we make that available on the web in a basic view. But if you have your Digital Codes Premium license for that collection or complete, then you would also be able to use those individual amended state and city codes in the same way that Eric was showing. How much time we still got? Like 10 minutes. Is there any way to embed the shared info? Again, understood that it's a URL to my specific area or comments into the Revit file for future reference. Um, the shared info. I'm trying to think if that's maybe they're sharing the link. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, so I think that's what is being asked here. So yeah, you can put a URL.
yep.
You can copy and paste a URL.
All right, we got questions about subscriptions per seat. I'll circle back to that since that's DCP related specifically. Um, mhm. People commenting on the site for finding things. I guess if we're looking for locations, probably the quickest way is click that locations bar in that homepage and all the states will pop up. And more questions on concurrent access, and I think we are about there with specific questions, Eric, for what your presentation was. What I'll do, everyone, I'll stay on here and try to circle back and answer any of those questions. Eric, would you like to say any comments as for closing or any summary there?
Yeah, I would like to just say again, I appreciate everybody's time. We've got a really fabulous roadmap coming, as I've kind of showed some of the next things that are out in the future. And again, I would love if you want to be a part of this and help us drive the future. Again, there's our email address to reach out to me specifically on. But again, appreciate your time, and I just would wish everybody a happy holiday and safe holiday.
Okay, thanks, Eric. We have about 10 minutes left. I will circle back if you got questions on the Digital Codes premium licenses. I'll kind of cover those a little bit more. I think if I might be able to open up to, if we raise your hands, I can open it up verbally. People ask questions, but let me just go back to the last few questions here and then I'll stop the recording, but then still add on. All right, concurrent access. People are asking about how you can use the licenses. So when you're on our website and you see the licenses that you can acquire in the store, they all start out as individual licenses. So it's the same price whether people are going to have their own license or they're going to share this in the concurrent group, that term that you see being used. This question here uses the example, if you have 10 people and 3 Digital Codes premium licenses, what you could do is you could have those 3 licenses in one shared, we call it a concurrent group, and 10 people would be able to log on with their own ICC login, count information. And then the next step is they click on the icon next to their name and enter the concurrent group code. So 10 people could share 3 licenses that you acquired. Simultaneous access is limited by the number of licenses, so only 3 of those 10 people could be logged in at the same time. But then the question is about notes. Yes, the notes would be contained within that group. And if you have 10 users with access to that group, then they would be able to create and view the each other's notes. So the people are saying, well, would that create too many notes? You do have the ability to, well, number one, as an administrator, you could delete notes of others if you want. Individual users can't edit or delete others, but as administrator to that group, you could delete notes that others have created. And if notes end up being a little bit long or there's too many of them, as you are accessing that title and the chapters, they can be collapsed and expanded as well too. All right, concurrent access, talking about, oh, that's a great point as well too, because in that concurrent group, as we said, only 3 people could be on because there's only 3 licenses with 10 people. So in that instance, if you want to release the spot immediately, you must choose the, click here to exit this concurrent group, and then your spot is released immediately. If the person just logs out without doing that step, or they are out to lunch or out to another meeting, it will automatically log off that person after 20 minutes of inactivity. So that's kind of a little safeguard. So one person isn't monopolizing it. Someone commented that it may not be convenient then if you do want to have it on all day. In that case, that's where you would have the need for your own individual license. So it's dedicated just to your account. So you're the only one accessing it. No one else needs to use your same license or you need to share it. So when you have your own individual license, it will not log you out after 20 minutes. As I'm watching chat here, I do see Eric taking the time to answer questions specifically about the add-in as well too. So feel free to post that. He's going back and reviewing it. The video recording, yes, this will be available, and we will send it out to today's participants. And I guess when we were talking about that auto logout feature, is that policy being maintained in the Revit add-in? Yes, because as you're doing it, what we're starting off here, it is, I don't know if the word's pass through, Eric, but as an add-in, it is accessing whatever license that you have with the ICC Digital Codes Premium. So if you are in a concurrent group and you're not active for that 20 minutes, yes, it will log you out. But there's the example, if you need to have always on access and always available to you, then you can have an individual license associated with just your own account. Someone asked, how soon are the updates available through that ICC link in Reddit? That is what we're talking about when you're accessing the Revit add-in for the ICC digital codes. You are accessing the actual live codes. I guess I could share my screen here for a little bit. We'll still end at the top of the hour, but just to kind of give you an example. No, I got too many windows open. Let me go back. I apologize. You know what I will do? I will stop recording this though, so we can have this maintained for everyone since we are near the close to the top of the hour. So I'm ending recording, but I will stay on for people who have specific questions.